My name is Joel Richards. The first job I ever had, I was about 14, and I was packaging secondhand tape in my friend Eric Carr's garage. And I thought it was the bomb, because they had a mini forklift. My goal was to stick around long enough to drive the mini forklift. But it turned out, secondhand tape is a dead-end job. So I got out of there. And I've made a collection of odd and strange jobs throughout my life. And I'd like to tell you about one in particular. And I got this job because of my friend Marcus. Marcus called me up one day and said, hey Joel, you want to earn some extra money? Now, if I got a line like that in my email inbox, I would have deleted it as spam. But coming from my friend Marcus, it somehow seemed, mostly harmless. So I said, sure. Now, see, at this point in time, you have to understand Marcus, who Marcus was. Marcus had, he drove motorcycles, he liked to shoot guns, he'd served 2 tours of duty in Iraq. Now, before you're too impressed by that, bear in mind, he served 2 tours of duty in Iraq playing the tuba. But, he had made it through all of these activities with nary a scratch. But he had recently, while driving his bicycle down the streets of New York City, tried to stop himself by putting his foot out on a curb and had shattered his leg. I know. So he was holed up for a while, recuperating, and he called me up and he says, so, do you want to earn some extra money? And I was like, sure, okay, well, what do I got to do? He's like, oh, it's real easy. All you got to do is drive all night, and they pay pretty well. All you have to do is drive all night. What am I driving, Marcus? Well, you see, you got to go to the airport and pick somebody up, because this doesn't sound suspicious enough already. And then you're going to go, well, the 2 of you guys are going to go and kidnap a kid. Do I get a pick, or will they have someone in mind? Oh, well, they've got somebody in mind. I mean, it's not actually kidnapping. The parents want you to do it. See, these kids they have, problems, or they're a little out of control. So the parents want to send them to some kind of, military academy or a lockdown school, but they can't get the kids to go. So they hire you to wake the kids up in the middle of the night, put them in a car, and drive them. Well, I was hard up for cash. Being legal, it turned out it didn't pay all that well, but I was intrigued. So I ended up doing a number of these kidnappings. And I learned a few lessons. See, the standard procedure in a kidnapping is you show up and you meet the parents at the front door, they hand you a bag. You put the bag in the back seat of the car, and then you follow the parents up to the kid's bedroom. The parent will go and wake the child up. They say, I love you. I want you to go with these 2 men. And then they leave the room. And then you escort the kid to the car. Now, it's amazingly effective system if everything is done exactly like I've just told you. But I learned there are a few lessons. You cannot have any of the family in the room with you, or the child will go berserk. You have to wear good running shoes. The first one we did, I picked up a woman named Carlin, who is a substitute teacher in the Las Vegas, Nevada school system by day and a child kidnapper by night. In her rush to pack and kidnap this particular child, she forgot her running shoes. So as soon as this child put up a bit of a fight and started to sprint towards the door, we had to cuff the poor girl, which was rough. Brings us to our second point. Flexi cuffs hurt. Any child will be amazingly compliant once they're in a set of flexi cuffs. Doesn't matter who they are, how much they're trying to kill you, you put them in those things, they will quiet down and do what you want. Frightening but true. I don't see a rush towards the door, so I know none of you are parents. But the lesson I learned most of all had to do with a third kidnapping I did. Now, when I got the call for this kidnapping, my boss Tyler says, well, this one's a little bit different children. Well, it turns out we weren't going to pick this kid up at their home. We're going to transport them from one reform school to another reform school. That sounded easier to me. The other big difference was I wasn't going to be the second in command, just sort of following the lead of somebody else. He wanted me to be in charge. I'd only done 2 of these things. I was very out of my league at that point. But he promised to send me in with my friend Connie, who he swore had done a lot of these. Turned out Connie had done 1 3 years ago. Well, we drove to this reform school, and by that point in time, I kind of calmed down, right? I was there with a good friend of mine. Everything was under control. How bad could it be? We were just going to take her from, one of these schools to the other schools. Simple, nice, long night drive. I would get paid, and I'm out of there. We pull into the parking lot of this school, and instantly, things start to fall apart. There's a maroon SUV parked in one corner of the parking lot, and out of the SUV files a family that really could have been a Cosby Show spinoff. There was a mom and dad and 2 little kids. There was a mom and a dad and 2 little kids at 2 o'clock in the morning in the parking lot of a reform school. And I realized what had happened is the school didn't want to give up the kid, and the kid didn't want to leave the school. So the mother had told the kid, her child that was at this reform school, and the reform school leaders, that they were going on a family trip to Disney World. And she told me that the plan is that she was going to go in and get the kid. And me and Connie were going to wait out in the parking lot, grab the kid, put him in the car, and we were going to take her to this other school. Well, I hate to say it, this was kind of my Milgram moment, where I wanted nothing better than to say a few choice words, get back in the car, and drive back to New York City. But we had a job to do. And we did it reluctantly, but we did it well. The girl came out. And she saw the 2 of us standing there, the only 2 white people in the parking lot, and she knew pretty much exactly what was going on. And we, of course, tried to talk her down. But if you remember rule number 1, the parents and the family leave the room. Very quickly, this girl started to put up a fuss. And I had no other choice than to try to escort her gently at first to the car. That was when she started getting physical, throwing some blows. She tried to kick me. Luckily, she's a worse fighter than I am. And when she went for my shin, I was able to use the momentum of her body to throw off balance. She ended up on the ground. And we had to flexi-cuff her there and put her in the back seat of the car. And I remember, as we cuffed this girl, looking up, and in the back window of that maroon SUV, I saw 2 brown faces and 2 big eyes, 2 sets of eyes staring out at me. And there I was, taking their older sister down to the ground and cuffing her and taking her away from them to a place they didn't know where. And that was when I learned the most important lesson from kidnapping children. Sometimes we really should be taking the parents. Thank you.